So hello and welcome to Vedic Mysticism series part 1.
हरे कृष्णा। सब्सक्राइब करिए हमारे शिक्षार्थकम चैनल को और प्रेस करिए इसके बेल आइकन को ताकि अगली वीडियो सबसे पहले आप देख सकें। हरे कृष्णा।
So how many days can you live without eating any food or water? And when I say living without food and water means not eating even a single grain of food, not drinking even a single drop of water. According to stats, 9 million people die out of hunger in a single year. But if I tell you that there was a person who lived for more than 70 years without eating and drinking, yes, you heard correctly. A yogi named Prahalad Jani, who claimed to have lived for more than 70 years without eating and drinking, and also not passing urine and stool. He was born in the Charda village on 13 August 1939 in the state of Gujarat. It was told that he has left his home at the age of 7 to live in the forest. I know many of you will find it difficult to believe, and most of you would have heard this name for the first time. But it's not your fault. To verify his claim, he was first tested in the year 2003 at Sterling Hospital, Ahmedabad. He stayed for 10 days in this hospital under round-the-clock surveillance. He had no access to food and water. Toilets were sealed. And even when he left the room for medical procedures, once for a sunbathe on the terrace, he was under constant observation. During the first 7 days, Yogi did not even have contact with water by the skin. After the first week, Yogi was allowed to gargle and bathe, but water was measured before and after the use. Dr. Urman Dhruv, who is General Secretary of the Association of Physicians of Ahmedabad, who supervised the entire study, said that Mr. Prahalad Jani did not take anything orally, neither food nor water or anything. During these 10 days of her project, Mr. Jani did not pass urine and stool. Dr. Sudhir Shah, the initiator of the study and neurologist at the Sterling Hospital, also said, "We are all scientifically educated and research-oriented doctors, and we scratched our heads, and it was the greatest surprise of our existing life. It appeared as if a bomb had hit us." He further said, "The complete history of science has to be rewritten, and our entire knowledge has been shaken to the core." You can see the published report, which I have given in the description section. And after that, once again, he was tested in the year 2010. This time, study continued up to 15 days. 36 medical experts were involved, and this time Indian Defence Institute, that means DIPAS, was the exclusive authority. And after the investigation, the director of DIPAS stated that Jani may demonstrate an extreme form of adaptation to starvation and water restrictions. And this kind of observation could benefit the soldiers and astronauts. Apart from it, IIT Madras team also conducted an imaging study in the year 2017. And they did brain mapping of the pineal gland and the pituitary gland of the yogi, which showed that the size of Jani's pineal and pituitary glands were of the same order of a 10-year-old young boy. And then these results were published in the scientific journals. When these results were shown to a metabolic expert, Dr. Anton Luger of University of Vienna, he said, "It is conceivable that humans can live 10 to 15 days without drinking. But without drinking and urinating, medical expert expects that human will die between 4 to 6 days. And not only that, Jani's blood count stayed in the safe range during these whole 10 days of the study, which is an extremely spectacular outcome. In this case, skeptics have shown their disbelief without any sound arguments. Their arguments were, "It is just impossible. The doctors and Indian Defence Institutes are making this fraud up. And unless we were involved in these cases, the truthfulness of the case cannot be verified." But then the question can be asked, do you question all other research works done in the world just because you were not involved? And if you do so, then it's fine. And the next question was raised that he would have moved out of the camera's view and he would have eaten something. But they don't know that he was constantly under multiple camera observations. When he moved out of one view, he was observed by another camera. Not only that, Yogi was examined in a high-tech clinic and digestive environment where his organs were scanned daily, and doctors saw that they contained no traces of food therein. One more miracle was seen, that urine appeared in the bladder, fluctuated up and down, and then gradually disappeared. And this happened during the first week. Up to now, all these raised questions were nothing but people's personal belief covered as a scientific approach. But yes, one thing was noticed, that Yogi's weight went down by 4 kilograms during the first week, which indicated that he could not have lived indefinitely without food and water. But after that, Yogi asked for fresh air and sun, possibly to do some kind of yogic practices. And then one more miracle happened. His weight increased by approximately 1 kg between day 1, day 7 to day 10. And that too without taking any calories. And let us assume for a while that even if he would have managed to drink a few milliliters of water while bathing, this few milliliters of water just cannot increase his weight by 1 kg. So what do you think? Should not these cases be a matter of study and part of mainstream science? After hearing this case, I was wonderstruck that why did this case not create a sensation in the world? Why such things are not part of mainstream science? Having done my own investigation, I have realized that modern science has been hijacked by dogmatics and their dogmas. Science is a wonderful method of free inquiry which can open up the door of a new reality and new experiences. But such dogmas hamper the growth of science. And in reality, these dogmas continue not because they have empirical basis, but rather empirical evidence suggests opposite to that. And what is the essence of all these dogmas? The essence of these dogmas is mechanistic and materialistic scientific worldview, which means matter is the only reality, life begins with matter and ends with matter. And human beings are not just more than machines. Any evidence which goes against these dogmas just cannot be accepted in the religion of science. And such phenomena are kept in the category of pseudoscience. And such scientists are called pseudoscientists. But the irony is that earlier he had been given the Nobel Prize and he has also been part of the Royal Society. But as soon as he goes against their dogmatic beliefs, then immediately he is declared as a pseudoscientist. Out of many such scientists, one is quantum physicist known as Brian Josephman, who has also got Nobel Prize in the field of quantum tunnel. And Brian Josephman said something similar against these dogmas. He said, the big peer-reviewed scientific journals are like the holy scriptures of science, and they make the entire truth. And I also had this question, that are these scientists free from biases? And then I came across a research work of a psychologist named Brian Nosek of University of Virginia. He says that the most common and the problematic bias in science is called motivated reasoning. Psychologists have shown time and again that most of our reasoning is in fact a rationalization. In other words, a person has already decided on the conclusion, and rest he's just trying to filter out the data and the evidences which supports his particular conclusion. And then he says further, I was aware of these biases in humans at large when I learned for the first time that they also apply to the scientists. I was somewhat amazed, even though it is so obvious. So thank you very much. Please do write down your questions and like and subscribe and share. And you can also join our Telegram group, link of which is given in the description section. Thank you very much for watching.